Have you ever got something, an item, and then when it get delivered to you, you sadly find out it doesn't meet your expectation? It could be the size of sneakers, it could be the color of a dress, it could be a wristwatch that's probably damaged, it could be a phone that's damaged. And then because the product has a 30-day warranty return policy, or 7 days, or 2 weeks, depends on where you buy the product from. Complaints differ from one place to the other, and you'd have to return that item. That is called reverse logistics. And that is what we're talking about this week. My name is Odiche, and I'm your host. And in this week's episode, we're talking about reverse logistics. The costs to you, the costs to the complaint, the cost to the retailer, and the costs to the industry as a whole. You see, sometimes we don't buy items because we like them, because we're excited to these items, and then we go to platforms. The most common, which is Amazon and Temu. We buy these items and we see the colors, the pictures, everything is just excellent. Even the reviews at times are excellent. But when we receive that item, it happens that it does not meet our expectations entirely. Maybe the color, maybe there's a damage on the phone, maybe the size of the sneakers does not actually fit. And so we'd have to return them. We'd have to return the item to the supplier. Now, the thing about returning items or products that we bought online from e-commerce platform is that it is expensive to the whole industry. It is expensive for us because now we have to either wait for the product to be returned for us to get a full refund, or for us to get a new product, which we're not happy with. Also, it is also cost intensive and even resource draining for the supplier, because now they have to get a transporter to come to your house to pick up the package again, and then because the transporter will return the package to the fulfillment center or to the warehouse. And at the warehouse, they'd have to stop whatever they were doing before. If they were trying to meet up a certain client's demand, they would have to put that on hold. So now they have to look into the package, inspect the package, check what is wrong with the package, repackage it, restock the package, possibly refurbish the package, or even dispose of that product, which then becomes a loss to the supplier. In just 2023 alone, the return packages, or what we call reverse logistics, costs the industry $750 billion. Now, what that means is that for every major supplier that made a return of $1 million, 400,000 of that dollars goes into return logistics, which means he lost 400K of that amount of money maintaining, taking in, refurbishing, inspecting, or disposing a product that may not go back into the system. This product could probably no longer be sold. Even if you refurbish the product, it may not be sold at full price anymore. The product may have gone through several forms of transportation before, mainly if the product is not within the same country or the same province or state. Depends on where you live in. So if it's not in the same state, if it's not within 24 hours delivery, there's a higher chance that there may be several forms of transportation or means of transportation involved before it gets back to the fulfillment center or to the warehouse. It also means that the supplier may have his workers work extra hours, work extra time, or literally employ more hands. And if he has to do an inspection, well, they have to get an inspection specialist or an expert in that field, which is not free, so they have to pay. Also, if there is no space in the warehouse or in the fulfillment center, they'd have to find a way to create space to put those packages. So, I think it's in the mind of every supplier. Anyone who sells an e-commerce online, there's a 10 to 20% feeling that they should be expecting their packages to be returned in one time or the other. Because the money you make, or the money suppliers make by selling their products on e-commerce platforms, is not entirely theirs, except there is no return policy. And with Amazon and with Temu, it's very different. Because these guys, they have a 30-day refund policy, some 7 days, some 2 weeks. Some are not even in the big platforms. They just have their own website where you can buy their product, but they let you know that you can return them. And they do not hope you return the item, but if you do return the item, well, according to their policies, they may have to refund you your money, or they may have to give you a new item, which is a loss to their business. Now, there are times where we may have a product that we bought and we are within the 30-day period, and maybe we have a friend who we visited and the friend tells us about how he or she used that product and they didn't like it. It could also be from other reviews we didn't see earlier. It could be from an influencer, it could be from a celebrity or one of these social media influencers who reviewed or critiqued the product, and that critique took a bad slam on the supplier. There have been cases, several situations we can find online where they get a critic from a TikTok influencer or Facebook or even what we used to call Twitter, and that review led to followers of that influencer, followers of that celebrity returning their packages, sometimes in their thousands. And there have been situations where that return package could cost the company a lot. Now, it doesn't get to cost the company a lot because they have to pack all of these packages only. No, they also may even have to store production. Some may have to put a hold on meeting their customers' demands because now they have a huge amount, an overwhelming amount of returns. And that would require them moving some of their workers from the floor to inspection. And there have been some cases where we see 6 to 7 people attending to one product because followers of a TikTok influencer, followers of a celebrity who feel that what the celebrity is saying means a lot to them, and then they've already bought the product and they don't want to have that experience. They return the product. And so you see the companies getting thinned out because they have to move manpower from forward motion supply chain, which has to do with moving products from the warehouse to the fulfillment centers, to the transporters, to the delivery guy, and then to your house. Now they have to turn around that process to bring in delivery guys or the warehouse personnel, move them from moving products out of the warehouse. They have to bring them back into ensuring that the products that have been returned, is it refurbishable? Can we inspect and be sure that there was something wrong? Where did we go wrong? How can we fix it? How can we manage our online image? How do we manage our customers now that are still waiting for us to meet their demands? Now we have demands from the people whose items has been returned that also needs to be met. So it's a stretch. It's a huge stretch. Studies actually has supported this discussion because there have been data that has shown that when it comes to e-commerce, 20 to 30% of the products sold may likely be returned. And the peak period for returned items often occur, 1/3 of the returned items often occur after peak season sales. For instance, the Christmas period, the New Year celebrations. So it's a lot. It's a whole lot of expenses within the industry. It stretches the industry a lot. And according to Forbes, January 2022, Forbes said that 10% of the supply chain cost is owing to reverse logistics. Not forward logistics, not the fact that products are made, manufactured, put in the warehouse, put in the fulfillment centers, put in the delivery vans, sent to your house. No, the reverse, because you then have to send it back to the supplier. And that amounts to 10% cost of all the expenses involved in the transportation logistics. Additionally, it said that more than 20% of the space you see in the warehouse are kind of like reserved for returned items. So rather than using that space to store products that will be sold to meet up with the demands from customers, companies, suppliers have in mind to create a space just in case that an item was returned because a customer or customers didn't like the items. So reverse logistics is very expensive emotionally for the customer who buys the item, but much more expensive financially, mentally, and also emotionally for the suppliers who sell this item in the industry. But how did it start? But in episode 3, I talked about free shipping, and I talked about how it started with Amazon in 2005. The same thing with return policies. Amazon, the giants of e-commerce, had started this policy where you can return an item, no question asked, within 30 days. And so from becoming a perk in e-commerce, it became a right. So now if I'm buying an item, I would want to check about the return policy. I no longer see it as a perk. I see it as a right. And it's the first thing, besides checking the quality, and I also want to check on the return policy. So that's where it all started. And in the US alone, 30% of all e-commerce purchases are returned. 30%. That's 3 times higher than items that are bought in physical retail shops. So people who sell in retail shops, where customers have to come, they have to check the items, they probably have to wear the items or see if it fits them, they have 3 times lesser item returns than the products that are bought online. When I mean online, I mean e-commerce platforms like Amazon, and now we have Temu. So people tend to return those items, and it's understandable why they return those items. For instance, if we have to use sneakers, we know that we have the US size, there's the European size, and then you have the Chinese size. And so if you're not conversant with the different sizes, and then you set up go buy a product or a sneaker using the Chinese size or the American size, and when you receive the product, it doesn't fit you, you would have to return it. But if you go to a shop or you go to a retail store, you can wear it, you can test it, you can check several colors, you can check several sizes. You are not under compulsion to buy it. There's no pressure to buy it. If you want to buy, you buy. If you don't want to buy, you can return it. But with online, you have discounts, 60% discounts, 30% discounts, buy 4 and get free shipping, buy 6 and get free shipping, buy 9 and get free shipping with 7 days return policy. So those little things makes you want to buy, and then you have this impulsive desire to buy goods you may not need. And when you do buy them, there's a higher chance that you may return some or all of them. That's why, in as much as e-commerce is excellent, online shopping is excellent, it has its own costs. And that's what we're seeing today. That's the cost of e-commerce. The cost of e-commerce on reverse logistics is 3 times higher, running into billions of dollars annually compared to going to retail stores and buying items. Besides that, we also know that when it comes to the environment, it costs a lot. Out of the 5 billion products that are returned in the US, the carbon emission for those products are a lot annually. So financially, it's expensive for the customer. Financially, it's expensive for the supplier. But because of the 360 cycle return, that's the transportation company, that's the warehouse that the supplier have to do, there is an emission, there's a carbon emission that would have been cut by half, but now has to do the full 360. So reverse logistics is a cost to the environment. It's also a cost to the industry. But where do we go from here? Maybe as time continues to go, we would have several tech and AI-driven sizing tools that would help reduce the amount of reverse logistics that will in turn benefit the environment. For instance, there have been several apps now that we see online that people have developed that made it possible for you to just take a picture, put it on your feet. It shows if it fits your foot or not. And I've seen some of them on TikTok. I've seen some on Twitter where people develop this small platform, this small text that can help you see whether or not a particular shoe fits you or a particular dress fits you. That would help you analyze whether to buy a product or not. And in the long run, it saves you from returning the product, mainly if you need a dress or a shoe to go for an event, and unfortunately that shoe doesn't fit you. And also it saves the industry. The retailer as well benefits from it because he doesn't have to expect you to return the item because you bought it, because you tested, you tried it, you liked it. So that's what retailers want to see. And as also some companies now, Temu particularly, they have this offer rather where they've calculated the cost it will take them to receive your item, which may be more expensive, mainly when it comes to low-cost items. They'll tell you to keep it, and there's a higher chance of them refunding 70 to 60% of that cost of the purchase to you. That way, they don't have to stress their workers. That way, they don't have to pay more in returning the items, and they can also send you a new one if you still want them to send you a new one. So as time goes by, we'll continue to see AI, tech, tools, softwares develop in the industry that will help us reduce the amount of costs that we have when it comes to reverse logistics in the industry. It's expensive to every party involved. Let that be clear, because I will not be happy if I go buy an item and I have an event on reasons why I bought that item and I cannot wear the shoe because it doesn't fit me. I'll be sad. I don't think most people are happy returning an item that they bought online. So if the industry continues to evolve and softwares and apps continue to evolve and e-commerce platforms can adopt this app so that when a customer buys an item, the app can ask the customer if the customer wants to see how it looks like on his feet. And then they can use AI to you have a feel of what it's going to be like on your body, on your feet. That's where the amount of reverse logistics that occurs in the industry would be reduced. And it will also be good for the economy. It will be good for the industry. It will be good for workers because they don't have to get stretched out. And the suppliers don't have to lose 400K out of $1 million returns. No, if that money is cut in half, they will be happy. So there is so much room for advancement in the industry, and we look forward to seeing how the industry will evolve to reduce the amount of cost that reverse logistics brings to the business. That's all for this week's episode on Tales of Logistics. I hope you enjoy it, and I appreciate if you subscribe, follow, and talk about it with your family, with your friends. Share your ideas with me, and I'll appreciate that a lot. Until then, I hope to see you in my next episode. Voila.